From the John C. Hench Production Arts Studios in Peoria, Illinois, VideoMax Limited presents Midstate Magazine with your hosts, Kayla Neitz and Kyle Beck. The news with Aaron Morden and Danielle Heimski, featuring your Midstate reporting team. Sports with Katrina Baumgartner. Get Real with Nikki Garabrandt. Stephanie Robbins is on the beat. State of the Arts with Brooke James. Rebecca Williams is in the spotlight. Anna Tassi takes us about town. And About Crew with Noel Mefford. And now, from America's friendliest city, Midstate Magazine. Take it away, kids.
Good evening and welcome to Midstate Magazine. I'm your host, Kyle Peck.
And I'm Kayla Neitz. Thank you for joining us.
So I heard you were saying something very interesting about Dan Harris, the co-anchor from Good Morning America?
Yes, exactly. Dan Harris, in 2004, maybe it was 2002, he was on live air. He was live on the air, and he started talking about a story, and he had a panic attack. And now, 10 or 13 years later, he finally came out with a book about why it happened and the treatment he eventually received for what happened. And basically what he said is when he was over in Afghanistan, Palestine and Iraq, he saw obviously horrible, horrific things. Mm-hmm. And when he came back, he was really depressed about it. And he turned to cocaine and ecstasy. So, now he talks about the stupidity of his actions, turning to that of all things to try to, cope with what has happened.
Right.
But what he finally found as he was recovering, because it was the panic attack on Good Morning America that really woke him up to how severe his situation was, how severe he was addicted to the drugs. So when that finally happened, he decided, okay, I need to get help. So he went to a therapist, mm-hmm. and they directed him to meditation. So that is actually what had happened. He didn't go to any rehab facility. He just found that meditation was enough to get him through because he wasn't using it every day. But I thought that was pretty interesting and a cool little story to end up with. But now it's time to check in with the news, so we'll see what that has.
Good evening. Welcome to Midstate Magazine. I'm Aaron Morden.
And I'm Danielle Heimski. Let's take a look at the news.
President Obama says American leadership is a driving force in meeting world challenges. During his weekly address, the president cited America's leadership in fighting ISIS militants in the Middle East, efforts to stop Russian aggression in Ukraine, and putting a stop to climate change. President Obama also mentioned American efforts to curb the Ebola crisis in West Africa. He stated, "The people of the world look to us to lead, and we welcome that responsibility. And we showed the world this week that we are prepared to do what is necessary to secure that legacy for generations to come." The president says American leadership is the one constant in an uncertain world.
The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development reports hundreds of thousands of people are homeless. Local shelters have a lot of preparing to do before frigid winter temperatures hit home. All week, the people of Central Illinois have been enjoying unseasonably warm weather, but December is on its way and this year's winter is slated to mimic last year's chilling experience. That's why area shelters are stocking up. Food, clothing, and blankets are needed to help the less fortunate. Some will still need a place to stay postseason. Shelters like the Salvation Army in Bloomington will contribute, even if it means making extra room.
There's a new park in Peoria that some call a version of Starved Rock, but it's sort of a hidden gem because it hasn't officially been open to the public. The Friends of Rocky Glen held a vendor fair Sunday to raise money for a parking lot and trail maintenance at the park. The Rocky Glen Park is on Kickapoo Creek Road near Airport Road. It was previously owned for an extended period of time, but recently the city bought the park with grant money and deeded it to the Peoria Park District. Because there is not a parking lot, the public cannot freely roam. There are monthly hikes at the Rocky Glen Park. The next one is set for October 11th at 10 a.m. You can find more information about the hikes and the parks on the Friends of Rocky Glen website.
The McLean County Health Department has confirmed this year's first case of rabies found in a bat. The bat was found inside a rural Hayworth home, the health department confirmed on Monday. So far this year, rabies has been found in 33 bats across the state. A total of 55 bats in 21 counties tested positive for rabies in 2013, including one in McLean County. The health department says bats flying outside at night pose little risk for rabies. Bats displaying activity during the day, flopping around on the ground, or being in a place where bats are not usually seen should be avoided.
A new poll from the Washington Post shows that the top 10% of American drinkers, or 24 million people, consume an average of 74 alcoholic beverages each week. To put it in perspective, a person would have to drink 3 24 cases of beer, 18 bottles of wine, or 4.5 750 milliliter bottles of whiskey to make it up to the 10th percentile. Over 60% of Americans consume less than 1 drink a week or no alcohol at all.
Drug charges have been dropped for a woman arrested in July after crime lab analysis confirmed the residue in a spoon in her possession was spaghetti sauce. Ashley Huff was arrested and charged with possession of methamphetamine after a contaminated spoon was found in her possession. According to the crime lab report, there were no signs of controlled substances on the spoon. The 23-year-old initially made bond but was reincarcerated August 2nd after she was unable to make her appointments at the Hall County Drug Court. The district's attorney office filed a dismissal last week following the lab's analysis. Huff was jailed for a total of 47 days. Now let's go to Katrina for sports.
With the end of this baseball season, one of the greatest and most respected players is retiring from the game. On Sunday, Derek Jeter played the last game of his career. In his final game, the Yankees beat their rival, the Boston Red Sox, 9-5. Jeter was removed from the game in the 3rd inning after an infield RBI single, a very fitting way for the captain to end his career. With his retirement, Jeter is one of 5 players to finish with 3,000 hits, 200 home runs, and 300 stolen bases. All other members have been indicted to the Hall of Fame. Jeter also finished with a career .310 batting average and won a total of 5 World Series while playing for the Yankees. With all these impressive statistics, most people believe Jeter will be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. With the start of the 30th Missouri Valley football season set to start Saturday, October 3rd, the conference has a lot to look forward to. For the first time in conference history, 7 out of 10 Missouri Valley teams are ranked in the FCS Top 25 poll. Some of these teams include number 1, North Dakota State, number 9, South Dakota State, and number 10, University of Northern Iowa. Not only having 7 teams in the top 25, the remaining 3 schools also got votes to be in as well. This is a strong sign of the strength of the conferences. In some polls, the Missouri Valley is the number 1 FCS football conference based on strength of schedule and is even ranked above 3 FCS conferences. All the Missouri Valley teams have one thing in common. They have played extremely well against other FCS level teams. Throughout the off-conference schedule, Missouri Valley teams win a combined 20-1. With this start, many coaches from the conference believe there will be more than last year's 2 teams going into the FCS football playoffs. Illinois Central College won the Midwest Athletic Conference thanks to the play of freshman Ethan Brew. Brew shot a second-round 4 under par with a 68. ICC shot a .303 and a .306 with their 3rd conference title in the last 4 seasons. The ICC total score of .609 was 10 better than defending champion Parkland and runner Lewis and Clark. Brew started the day with a 74 and was tied for the lead with Lincoln's Reed Cagle. Brew had an afternoon of 9s of 35 and 33 to capture the individual title at 142. That's all for sports. Back to you, Danielle.
Thanks, Katrina. On September 20th, an amazing event happened in Dwight, Illinois. Hundreds of Basset Hounds marched through the street. Our very own Nikki Garrett-Brandt has the story.
Every year, hundreds of Basset Hounds and their owners parade down the streets of Dwight, Illinois. But not every dog has a permanent home, and that's where Guardian Angel Basset Rescue comes in.
For 18 years, Larry Little, the president and co-founder of Guardian Angel Basset Rescue, has been finding new homes for Basset Hounds who need one. And he assures that these rescue dogs will be very well taken care of.
We get their vet bills taken care of to get them up to date so that they can be placed in a really good home and have a decent life. In some cases where they've been running loose, some cases where they just haven't been treated very well, some cases where owners today have to go to a nursing home and they can't take their pets with them, and we're there to help with that. We spend a lot of time trying to find the right dog for people. We like it to be a good mix, and many times it is.
But these good deeds do not come cheap. So to raise money, the organization hosts a Basset-filled weekend during Dwight's annual Harvest Days Festival. It's
a 2-day event to help us pay our vet bills, which total about $200,000 a year. Today we will adopt out 14 Basset Hounds to new homes. By the time that's done, we will have actually lost about $5,000 because we've spent $5,000 more on those dogs for vet care than we will get in as adoption fees. People come to an event like this and spend their time and their money to support this organization. And we appreciate them, and we like putting on really nice parties for them.
Perhaps the most anticipated event of the weekend is the Basset Waddle, in which hundreds of Basset Hounds and their owners parade down the main street of town.
I went to the lady who ran the Dwight Harvest Days parade 17 years ago and said, I have an idea for you. We'll have the largest parade of rescue dogs in the country if you'll go along with me. The first one, we had over 150 dogs that year march in the parade. Today we'll have 800 or so Basset Hounds in a parade. It's a great time, and it always is.
In Dwight for Midstate Magazine, I'm Nikki Gearbrandt.
Well, oh, actually, the funny thing is, Bob, our executive producer, his dog Barkley was in this. He was actually the king of the 2014 Waddle.
Way to go. Yeah. Well, that wraps up Midstate for the week. I'm Katrina Baumgartner.
I'm Aaron Morden.
And I'm Dale Haimski. Have a great night and be sure to join us next week.
Thank you, news team. Now, Kyle, I did want to touch a little bit on the Ebola. They mentioned it right at the beginning at their news stories. But what I wanted to ask you is, knowing, I'm sure you've heard about the Dallas man. He's admitted to the Dallas hospital right now with the Ebola virus. He contracted it in West Africa, not in the States, of course, but he did come back. So he was in West Africa helping the people who were contracted with it. And then when he came back to the States, he found that he actually did have the virus. So he didn't come knowing that he had it.
Okay.
But he was surrounded by it all the time. So what do you think about the fact that he was allowed back into the States knowing that he was surrounded by the Ebola virus?
I don't know. I don't. If I were in that situation, I probably wouldn't have noticed that. I mean, I'm pretty sure nobody, not very many other people would notice that. But
we'll touch back on that in 1 second, okay? Let's see who Noelle has interviewed for About Crew.
Hi, I'm Noelle Mefford. I'm with About Crew, and today we are going behind the scenes with Midstate Magazine's audio engineer. Tim Fluga is a senior participating in his first semester of Midstate Magazine, and with his position of audio engineer comes with many responsibilities.
I have to mic everyone up, which is something, especially if I have 20 minutes beforehand, and I have to put headsets on everybody. Audio takes a lot of time. I'm usually the first one here and the last one to leave. The show starts at 6. I usually get here about 4:30 just to start setting stuff up. But pretty much my responsibility is to make sure everyone sounds good and to make me the background so no one hears me, which is hard because I'm very loud.
Although Tim is participating in the field of television, he also has interest in other forms of media.
I'm huge into radio, and I will probably get into the audio side of radio, which is why I picked audio engineer.
When I asked him what he looks forward to when coming to Midstate every week, he responded with,
I do love seeing the end product, and being able to say I did that is pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie.
With About Crew, I'm Noelle Mefford.
Thank you, Noelle. So we were talking a little bit about the Ebola virus and how the man is in the Dallas hospital right now, admitted for the Ebola virus. We were talking about whether or not we thought that he should be able to come from West Africa, where he contracted it, to the States, knowing that he had been surrounded by it. What do you think about that?
Is he getting penalized for it? Is there any charges for not knowing that he actually had the Ebola virus?
Well, no, it's not really about not knowing. It's just that if you're surrounded by it, it's a very high possibility that you're going to get it because it's extremely contagious through blood and bodily secretions. So knowing that he was working so closely with all those people who had already contracted it, was it, ethical or safe for him to come into the States to visit his family and all the people around him, knowing that there was just even a possibility of bringing it in? So that's where really the little bit of hesitance comes in for me. But
well, let's check in with Rebecca on In the Spotlight.
I'm Rebecca Williams, and this is In the Spotlight. The third annual Global Citizen Festival was this weekend in New York City. The concert festival featured fantastic performances from Beyonce, Jay-Z, Carrie Underwood, and more. 60,000 fans came together to support this event. The annual festival hopes to inspire young generations to bring an end to poverty. People who attended the festival were given free tickets after proving their activism for a certain cause they were passionate about. What a great way to have fun and help others. Sorry ladies, the ultimate bachelor is now married. Bachelor George Clooney was married in Venice, Italy on Sunday to human rights lawyer Amal Alamuddin. The couple tied the knot in a beautiful hotel. The guest list included celebrities such as Matt Damon, Bill Murray, and Bono. The couple's wedding ceremony was symbolic, according to reports. The two plan to make the marriage official after the weekend abroad. Although we are sad to hear Mr. Clooney is off the market, we wish him all the best. Saturday Night Live season premiere was this weekend. It featured host Chris Pratt and musical guest Ariana Grande. This is the 40th season for the show. It was opened up by new announcer Daryl Hammond after Don Pardo's passing earlier this year, also featuring new cast members. The show is hilarious with witty skits and monologues, poking fun at the NFL, comic movies, the State of the Union, and more. We can't wait to see the rest of the season. For In the Spotlight, I am Rebecca Williams.
Thanks, Rebecca.
I love seeing Rebecca. She always does such a good job.
Right, yeah.
So obviously we have some new weather coming up. It's October, the fall season, but it reminded me of, this is the 1-year anniversary coming up for Washington when the tornado struck.
Right.
So did you see a lot about that when it happened, or are you seeing about it now?
I mean, I was actually a little bit a part of that.
Oh, how's that?
I was working as a custodial back then, and I just remember I had to run from one hall to the next, and I just remember like getting pushed in like the beginning storms of that. It was I almost got pushed back once.
Oh my. Yeah, well, I'm sure that was very scary for you. So you were actually there when it was happening.
I was there when it was happening. I wasn't in Washington, but I was there.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what Pablo has cooked up for us, and let's eat.
Nothing makes off-campus dining any better than a sushi restaurant. Luckily, for Bradley students and Peorians within the area, Happy Fish Sushi is just a quick walk to campus town. This fine establishment offers a wide variety of fish-oriented dishes in an environment with a contemporary decor. Within their menu, they have an entree for everyone, from traditional rolls for hungry business professionals, specialty rolls for the adventurous, and even sushi without fish for those of the vegetarian persuasion. Happy Fish traditionally serves sushi with raw fish. However, they also specialize in sushi rolls containing fully cooked seafood. Because they offer both options of raw and cooked sushi rolls, I decided to order one of each prepared style from their specialty menu. I ordered the rainbow roll and the shaggy dog. The shaggy dog is a nice spin on a classic shrimp tempura roll, topped off with shredded crab and lightly sauced with unagi. The rainbow roll offered a colorful taste, pun intended, with a California roll layered with tuna, salmon, and super white tuna. All in all, my dining experience at Happy Fish Sushi was exquisite. Taking another bite out of Peoria, I'm Pablo Iglesias with Midstate Magazine's Let's Eat.
Thanks, Pablo. That actually looks really good to eat.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of sushi, but there's been a couple different rolls that I have liked, and the rainbow roll is actually one of them.
Great.
But I wanted to finish up on the Washington story because what the state is doing right now is actually sending letters out to the residents who had their homes or their properties destroyed, basically telling them you're going to be fined if you don't start repairing your home, start repairing your property, and things like that. It has been 1 year since the tornado struck and completely destroyed their homes. What do you think about the fact that they're getting letters and threats of fines if they don't start repairing their property?
That just does not sound very. I wouldn't personally find that very comforting. It's just, personally, I just wouldn't want. I don't think it would be fair for everyone who just got their homes destroyed last year to suddenly have to get fined for all the money.
I completely agree with you. It's very premature, and I just think it's ridiculous that they're rushing them to finish their homes.
Right.
But let's check out the latest in music with Stephanie on The Beat.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Robbins with On The Beat. You may remember her as Lizzie McGuire, the awkward, relatable preteen in a hit Disney show. Or maybe you remember her from her movie Raise Your Voice, which conveniently featured some of her early pop hits, such as Someone's Watching Over Me and Fly. The now 26-year-old Hilary Duff is making a comeback in the music industry with a new album in the works. This will be Duff's latest album release since her 2007 album Dignity. Over the summer, she kicked it off by releasing her first new single, Chasing the Sun, which evokes a fun, carefree vibe. Last month, she released her second new single, All About You, which will also be featured in her new album, which will be released in just a couple of months. All About You incorporates folk and country intertwined with the usual pop sound that her fans are used to. The catchy lyrics tell a love story, which is shown in the recent debuted music video. The music video takes viewers on a journey as Duff tries to track down a man she encountered in a coffee shop. The video contains a choreographed dance sequence in between shots of her and her friends searching for the man, who, you guessed it, they eventually find. Duff says that her new album will be very upbeat and positive, but it will contain some emotional songs as well, seeing as she recently went through a separation with her husband. She says that her new music reflects her Texas roots, which is quite different from her previous years of teen pop music. It's going to be an exciting wait to hear the rest of the songs from her new album. For On The Beat, I'm Stephanie Robbins.
Thanks, Stephanie. So I found something really interesting. I found out that apparently there were a couple of pranksters who were throwing cakes at a press conference in Kiev, Ukraine.
Really?
Yeah, three people were throwing cakes at some Ukrainian president.
Three different people or three different
people.
cakes?
3 different people.
And they all
with
had
three
a
different
cake.
cakes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and luckily this aide actually dodged all of them, and just like a true Ukrainian president aide, he just sat back down and continued with his press conference.
Like nothing happened.
As if nothing happened.
That's an art,
Yeah,
really, because
right?
I don't think I could, if someone threw cakes at me, I don't think I could just sit right back down and pretend like nothing happened
I
at all.
don't think I would either.
But he did dodge them.
He did dodge all of them.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, there's actually video of him actually dodging all of them, and it just like, you know.
Oh, they caught this on video?
They caught this on video.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up then. That's
Yeah.
very interesting. When did that happen? Recently?
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to Brooke and see who our special guest is on State of the Arts.
Hello, and welcome to State of the Arts. I'm your host, Brooke Janes. Today we're excited to welcome Mason Bohr, who is a freshman music business major and is very involved in multiple bands. His specialty is the trumpet. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
So what made you pick up trumpet?
Well, my father plays trumpet, and my family in general is just very musical.
So did you pick it up at a young age?
Sort of young age. I started playing in 3rd grade, but then moved on to actual playing with the school because we didn't start till 5th grade. So.
Okay, and you play it here at Bradley?
Yeah, play it here at Bradley.
Okay, and what do you hope to do with it?
I'd love
your
to
major?
do some form of graduate school after this to get a more focused degree, possibly in jazz or classical studies, and then hopefully go on to somewhere like Broadway Pit or just touring with bands and playing with orchestras.
Sure. Do you have a favorite Broadway musical?
Right now, my favorite Broadway musical is Book of Mormon.
Oh, I'm not very familiar.
It's-
What draws you to that one so much?
I'm not sure what draws me to it, but it's got a really nice pit book, and the trumpet parts are nice and high in the upper register, so that's always really nice.
Yeah, so that's what you're striving to. That's good. It's good that you have a goal.
Yeah.
Has that one been on Broadway for a while? Is it still
Book of
going to be there?
Mormon's still on Broadway, and I think it's been on Broadway for about 8 months.
Okay.
It may have been longer. I'm not too familiar with the whole backstory of it.
Sure. Yeah. And what are you going to play for us today?
I'm gonna be playing along with Horn of Puente.
Okay.
Which is by Gordon Goodwin.
Sure. Would you mind heading over?
All right.
Yep. Just drop that.
I'm working.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. That's all for this week. Join us next week to see more talent from around the Peoria area. For State of the Arts, I'm Brooke Janes.
Thank you, Brooke. Kyle, do you play any instruments yourself?
I play a little bit of piano, but I mostly sing.
Okay, cool. State of the Arts is one of my favorite parts of the show because it really lets you see different talents that people have that you would never actually see before, because it's not like anybody introduces themselves saying, you know, hey, I'm Kayla, I play the piano, or anything like that, because I actually know him. His name is Mason. When I'm not here at Midstate Magazine, I'm the manager of the Mark in Rockwall, and he comes down and climbs all the time, and he's actually very talented at rock climbing.
Wow.
So I had no idea that he also played the trumpet.
I didn't know either. I mean, he's a music business major, and I actually know somebody as well who is a part of Spring Awakening.
Very cool. Yep, so as we were talking about earlier, we had mentioned the little thing called shark bands, which is something that a father and a son invented, and basically you wear it around your wrist and it will repel the sharks. So I don't know if you typically
repel the sharks?
I don't know if you typically swim in the ocean.
I mean, I swim in like the Pacific Ocean.
Sure, but I almost never do. I don't go any more than, like knee depth because I am so afraid of the sharks. But I don't know, it's only $40, which I couldn't believe. Basically, it emits an electronic magnetic signal, which the sharks already have because when they can't see very well, that's what they use. But it just makes it uncomfortable for them. It's not very harmful. So I thought that was really interesting.
Well, that's all from Midstate Magazine for this week. I'm your host, Kyle Peck.
And I'm Kayla Nates. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.